Welcome, everybody. We are going off the reels. I am Nick.
I'm
I've got
Jeff.
Jeff with me. Welcome back, Jeff. Happy Thursday. Gosh,
Yes.
Is it Thursday already?
Apparently.
Super Bowl Thursday.
That's right. Super Bowl Thursday. Let's go. It's happening.
I
I'm
can't
ready.
believe it.
I'm nervous. I went all the motions. How did you do during that championship game against Detroit? I was a wreck.
I was a wreck. I had to apologize for being such a jerk to my family.
Yeah.
Because it's just a game, but it wasn't just a game. That was rough. It was such a rough first half, and
I think I texted you, right? Like, this is just worst case scenario. I think I was texting you. I've texted so many people. Like, that was just the worst half of football I think I've seen them play. And I mean, you thought the Green Bay, they played bad. Like, geez, just terrible. Couldn't tackle, couldn't get a stop, couldn't get anything going on offense. This is a brutal first half. Yeah, we had a big party here, had all my friends over, and like some of the bad words started flying, or somebody saying, "Jeff, bad language." I'm like, hey, this is my house. I'll say whatever I want. This is my house.
This is my. You do not live here. You do not pay my bills.
Exactly. I was about to kick everybody out too at halftime. I was like, everybody out of my house. I made a change at halftime. Took the jersey off and switched shirts, put on pants, and I think that really seemed to work. So I really contributed to the win there by changing my outfit.
I had started watching the game in the living room, and Franklin had wanted to play catch, wanted to play basketball, wanted to ride his bike. This kid wanted to do everything that he could to be active, and I was like, I just want to watch the game. And it came down to it, and I was so upset because I knew that they weren't playing like themselves. They weren't playing defense. The offense wasn't working. It just wasn't working.
Yeah.
And then, second half, you come out and you score 3, and then you get a touch, they go for it on 4th and whatever it was, and they don't convert, and then you get a touchdown off of that doink. Like, what?
Yeah.
How is that catch not the top catch of the weekend? How was Lamar's?
You got to give it to Lamar in a loss,
Yeah, in a loss because he scored a touchdown on it. I mean,
ridiculous.
If he doesn't make that catch, they do not. That was either second and long or third and long, and they aired it out.
Yeah, I think it was second and 11. I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, second and long. Yeah.
And you're going for it. You're going for a deep ball. I mean, that just goes to show you how much confidence Brock Purdy has.
Also, perfect throw, by the way. Yeah. Like, if the defender wasn't there, let's just say Ayuk was alone, like, perfectly thrown ball. He got, the defender slowed him up, and that's what happened with the tip and everything, why he didn't get a hand on it originally. But that was, an absolute dime drop in the bucket if Ayuk is running full speed. He doesn't have to let up there at the end.
And then you get a turnover on the next drive, and then a huge drive from everybody.
Perfect timing. That 17 points happened. It happened quick, just like that, dude.
And then you could just feel it. You could feel the pressure just starting to lift off of your shoulders, and you knew that this was a winnable game. You knew at that point that this game was not going to be lost, that the defense was going to come out to play, and then the onside, the drive that Detroit scored where they just went down the field and raced the ball.
Yeah,
I was like, all right, at least I'm okay giving up that. Yeah, because those are garbage points. But then when Kittle fell on the fumble, and you got to see those the fingertips touch the ball before it hits 10 yards.
Yeah, you're like, that's a penalty anyway.
Yeah, and that right there, that's a penalty anyway, so that should take off 10 seconds off the clock.
Yeah. Detroit made that mistake of running down at the goal line. I think it was third down. They ran a play. They did a running play, maybe second down, and they had to waste a timeout. And then so that really hurt them. I remember I was doing the math in my head. I'm like, I think they're going to get the ball with like 3 seconds left, maybe 1, 2, or 3 seconds left after the 49ers got it. I'm like, if they would have another timeout, they would say they'd have 30 seconds. So
yeah,
I mean, like, it's a tale of two halves, right? I mean, that's why they play. That's why they play a full game. Anybody can, just you got to have win each half, right? I mean, it doesn't matter how bad you play at the beginning. Exactly. It's how you play at the end. And I mean, Brock like absolutely balled out just with his legs, with his throws. I mean, if Mahomes, basically, if it was switched, if that was Mahomes, I mean, the internet would have just broke. ESPN would have ran 5 hours of Mahomes freaking, highlights. But since it's Brock, since it's Brock Purdy, it's like, oh, well, he got lucky.
I think the biggest thing with all this is that a lot of the talking heads are having a hard time understanding how a guy that was so overlooked can be this good.
Yeah,
how a guy
absolutely.
that played, he played 4 years in college, and his coach called him a game changer. He called him a program changer.
Yeah.
How this guy can be drafted last. He's humble. He's hardworking. He's not content. He wants to get better.
He's even fearless, thinks that, man.
Yeah.
Dude's fearless in the pocket.
You see him getting trucked by 330-pound dudes, and he's,
taking it. It's just right there.
He's about as tall as you, and he probably weighs about as much as me.
Yeah. So
exactly. 6'1", 210.
I don't even think I wouldn't even bet he's 200 pounds.
Yeah, I'm not. All right. Well, thanks for giving me 190. I'll take that.
Yeah, it's great. We made it. We're back. I love it. I'm happy. I'm nervous. Of the two, I would have rather faced the Chiefs, I guess, but then the Ravens, because we saw that movie happen on Christmas Day. That was terrible. Just get the defense. The defense needs to show up. That's really what it is. The defense needs to show up, and if they limit the Chiefs to 20 points, I think we got it. I think we can win.
I think if we play our game and we establish the run, establish McCaffrey, and find ways to keep the Chiefs defense on their heels, and then spread the ball. And
I'm hoping the Chiefs' youngness on defense will be used against them, because they're a really good defense, but they're really young, and it's a lot of their time. A lot of those guys' first time in the spotlight here. So, yeah, it'll be a good game. Hopefully, actually, I take that back. I don't want a good game. I want a freaking blowout. 45-7 Niners. And then don't have to worry about it. Just cruise to the victory, baby.
The last time they faced an AFC West opponent in the Super Bowl.
Well, it was the Chiefs, but
no. That's right. Dang it. I was thinking about the Chargers and then the Broncos
or Broncos. Yeah.
Or Broncos. Yeah. I'm a little old for that one. All right, we are talking about 2 surfing movies today: Point Break and Big Wednesday, both starring Mr. Gary Busey.
Yes.
We're gonna start with Point Break. Jeff, this one's a classic for a lot of reasons. Yeah. What came out in 91? Do you remember seeing it in the theaters?
I don't think I saw it in theaters. I think this was a VHS. This was a VHS rental. And I really remember watching it. I was at my buddy. I probably had I think his name was Dave, and we had the sleepover on Friday, Saturday night. I remember renting this, and we were watching it. And just this movie's freaking awesome. There's surfing, and there's girls, and there's fighting and shooting, and it's funny. Yeah, dude, we were all about this movie. I loved it. Keanu Reeves was amazing. Kind of in his first, action-y movie. After the Bill and Ted's, and he did some other smaller ones, but this was kind of the big, kind of breakout for him, where he really became a movie star, an action movie star. He went on to do Speed, and then obviously the John Wick, Matrix, and then John Wick. So this was really his first action movie, and you can really see how much he's grown into that action movie guy, you know what I mean? Starting here, and I don't know if you watched the John Wick movies, but it's just continued on for the last 30 years. So, really? John Wick. Maybe we need to do that. John Wick's amazing. John Wick is amazing.
I'll give it a try.
But yeah, it's really good. I remember seeing it then. I didn't see it in the theaters. I was probably, let's see, that was probably 12. So my parents weren't going to take me. So to that, but yeah, man, I like it. The surfing scenes were good. That's pretty good. Surfing. Just the extreme action, the sport, the surfing, the skydiving was really cool. The bank robberies were cool. It was a cool movie. Just a cool movie. You know what I mean? I don't know. There's not many cool movies like that. I always say Ocean's 11. It's a cool movie. I think this is one of those, just a cool movie.
So this movie was filmed mostly in Los Angeles. There are scenes from Oregon, Hawaii, and Utah. We talked about Patrick Swayze, Keanu Reeves, Lori Petty, John C. McGinley, and Tom Sizemore has a cameo in this movie.
I saw it. I remember oh crap. And so does Anthony Kiedis.
Anthony Kiedis, yeah. Oh, that was such a gross one.
That was nasty.
So the beachfront cafe where Tyler works is Neptune's Net in Malibu. And that looks like something that we had seen
in Malibu, right?
In Malibu, yeah. It looks like something we saw in Big Wednesday as well.
Yeah.
The Manhattan Beach Pier I thought to myself, I said, "Oh, is that the roundabout in Manhattan Beach where he buys a surfboard?" And that's exactly where it was. It was the Manhattan Beach Pier. Let's see. The scene where Pappas clips the hair off the stoner smoking underneath the blanket. That's Dockweiler.
Yeah.
In Playa del Rey.
Where is the Latigo Beach? They were at Latigo Beach.
Latigo.
I don't know where that
Latigo
one is.
Malibu.
Latigo, sorry.
It's Leo Carrillo. Latigo, Latigo. But more of the spectacular waves for surfing sequences were found. Yeah. The surfing sequence scenes were filmed in Hawaii, on Pipeline, Sunset, and Waimea Bay.
Makes sense.
See.
Get those good waves.
The bank that they initially caught the dead presidents at is in Culver City, and it is now a sports shop called Sportive.
Oh.
And then there's a lot of stuff. Cool. This is one that we might know. They use a gas pump, the gas pump scene where Patrick Swayze lights starts blowing flames. That was on the corner of Catalina and Burl in Redondo Beach. That is now the triathlon there, right?
Oh, wow.
Right next to Dive and Surf.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And then,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
They jump. Cool. When they jump out of the plane, they're over
LA River.
Utah.
I think they were running through the LA River area.
Yeah, Baloney Creek. Yeah,
speaking of that jumping out of the plane, speaking of that,
no, I would never.
Patrick Swayze did all of that himself.
I was going to say, Jeff, would you ever jump out of a plane? Have you ever jumped out of a plane?
Yes, I definitely would. I have not. I would definitely do it. I would totally do it. Yeah, Swayze did. He was an experienced skydiver by that point. I think I read he did over 55 jumps for this movie, so he was ready to go.
Yeah, he did a lot of stunts.
He was all about it and pretty experienced. So. Yeah, not the surfing. You could definitely tell he wasn't surfing.
No,
you could definitely tell the stunt doubles.
So the film was inspired by a newspaper article in LA Weekly about how LA was the bank robbery capital of the world. And Rick King, the producer, was at the beach with a piece in his head when he began to think up the idea of a gang of surfers who also rob banks. The idea of LA as the bank robbery capital of America also played a role in the film Heat. And that was a failed TV pilot. So Heat was also one of those. Heat was a failed TV pilot in '89. It's such a good movie. It's so good. If you're listening to us out there and you have not seen Heat with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, highly recommend.
Go watch Heat.
And Val Kilmer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. Val. Ashley Judd. Right? Yeah. Right. Yes.
Right.
Val Kilmer's wife, right?
Val Kilmer's wife.
Anyway,
yeah.
That's another movie. That's another one for another day. Can you name what? Can you name the five? Was it the 4 or 5 presidents? Was it 4 presidents? Right? Can you name the ex-presidents?
Carter, Reagan, LBJ.
The mass.
Yeah, I had them written down too. Carter, Reagan, LBJ, and JFK.
I am not a crook.
Oh no, Nixon. Was it Nixon? Carter, Reagan, Nixon, LBJ. Yeah.
No.
So they died.
Nixon.
Yeah.
Nixon.
That's Carter, Reagan, Nixon, LBJ.
Yeah, Nixon.
Yeah, not JFK.
Yep.
They died in order.
Not JFK. No, Nixon.
So the way the presidents die in real life, like how they die in real life, they die in order in the movie. So I don't know how it lined up.
Oh, that's cool.
But I found an article on Yardbarker, and it's 20 facts you might know about Point Break, or you might not know. And that one of them is the way that they all died. Like, I guess Reagan was the last one to die.
Hold on. That can't be right. Isn't Jimmy Carter still alive? Did he just die? Isn't he still alive? I feel like Jimmy Carter's still alive. Can we do a quick Google search? Because I think that article might be wrong. I feel like Jimmy Carter's still alive. Or he died.
Must have just died.
Because when did Reagan die?
Reagan died recently.
I feel like Jimmy Carter's still alive. I feel like Jimmy Carter's still alive.
The ex-presidents.
Maybe I'm thinking of the other one. Maybe I'm thinking Gerald Ford.
LBJ, Richard Nixon, Jimmy Carter.
Maybe it's Gerald Ford I'm thinking of is still alive.
That may have been a tip off about the course of events. The gang members die chronologically based on when those.
I'm gonna do a quick search here.
No, they die based on when those 4 were president. So LBJ dies first. So LBJ was president first, and then it was Nixon.
Yeah, I was like,
because LBJ came in for JFK after JFK was assassinated.
There we go.
So it wasn't based on when they died; it was based on which president they were. Correct.
The presidency.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes more sense. Patrick Swayze.
That makes sense because Jimmy Carter's 99 years old. Dude is 99.
He's not. I mean,
that's crazy. Jimmy Carter's gonna turn 100 years old this year.
Let's see, the 10 big. Oh, this is the one that I wanted to talk to you about. So it's you're talking about the 50-year storm, and how it's you never miss this, and this movie is so good. But the biggest wave in the world, the biggest wave ever surfed was 86 feet in Germany. In Germany,
wow.
Germany is not a country known for producing top-tier surfing talent, making Sebastian.
Do they even have any water? Aren't they landlocked?
Yeah.
How the hell did they get a friggin' wave out in Germany?
On a cold winter day at Nazare, on a wave measured 86 feet. There's Portugal, 80 feet.
Wow.
Holy smokes, that's a wave. I don't know if I'd ever. Hawaii. Oh, this is Portugal, 78 feet. What the heck is Cortez Bank off the coast of?
Wow. Have you ever seen those big wave riders like Laird Hamilton? You were like riding giants. There's a really good documentary about that, about Laird Hamilton and his crew, just basically trying to, find the biggest waves you can ride. And, you really have to, they kind of talked about this too at Point Break and even in Big Wednesday too. They talked about the big wave riding, and it's just it's so intense, and you have to train for it. Like, it's not just, oh, hey, let's go catch that big old wave. Like, you have to train. I remember there's like videos of Laird Hamilton. Like he takes like a boulder and he goes and walks like underneath the wave, like in the water. And if he can't do it there, he goes in a pool and like just hold his breath so he could stay down and do that. And he would go, I think, like just purposefully get like thrown around in waves to practice being able to get up, out of it. Because if you get slammed into one of those big waves, you're like totally screwed. They had to modify their surfboards. They had to put like extra, I don't know what they're called, like these extra long fin things on them on the bottom of it. So they can, otherwise your board it can't handle the speed and the force of the wave coming and all the wind and everything. So they had to modify their surfboards. You have to get towed in by jet skis a lot of the time. It's wild, man. Yeah. Riding Giants it's a really good documentary about all that, about that. It's really cool. And I don't know if I'd ever be able dangerous.
To do that. No. I've tried.
Have you ever surfed, Nick?
I've tried. It's not for somebody that, couldn't stand up straight on a board. What about yourself?
I will say, I noticed I think it was Lori Petty giving Keanu the surf lesson basically. And I only surfed once, and it was on our honeymoon 20, almost coming up on 20 years ago here. But the way she was telling him, from what I remember, was wrong. Like, you're not supposed to just pop. It's not supposed to be like that. It's you get up on one knee and then you get up on the other feet. Like, it's one leg back, one knee up, and then you plant and get up. It's not just pop with both legs. I remember them saying that. Like, everybody wants to do that. I feel like maybe my guy even said it when we were taking those lessons. Like, yeah, don't listen to those movies. They don't know what they're talking about. Like, you want to not just pop up because you're going to get off balance. You want to get up, push up with your arms, move a leg up, get your balance, and then get up on the thing. So my wife got up the first time. She wanted me to mention that, and I did not.
Rebecca, I tip my cap to you. Right? How hard could it be?
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. I thought it was fun. I never did it since, but it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of time. I was hoping my kids would be into surfing so they could be into it, and then they could show me how to do it again.
What do you think about John C. McGinley's character in this movie?
He was great. He's so good. He's so versatile. You know what I mean? He can play the real dickhead. He was perfect captain, like those, especially those the late 80s, 90s police chief that comes in yelling at everybody and busting heads, cracking skulls, and has it in for the guy that's been there. The Gary Busey character, Angelo. This is a typical Pappas. Utah
roadkill sandwiches coming right up.
I love that line.
I really,
Yeah,
you start to piece things together as you're watching the movie, and it's like, get over it, Johnny. The dead presidents are ghosts. It's like, no, these guys are like ghosts. They travel in a clique, and then he starts to piece things together. At the party where it's like, no way, are these ex presidents? And it's like, no, well, check this out. This is what's going on.
Yeah.
You see these things unfold in the story as you're watching it with the script, and the script's so well done. What I didn't like about this movie was where, Johnny and Tyler, they're sitting there in the water, and you could tell they're in a pool. Yeah, I get it. You've got to find a way to make it so that you're not sitting in a pool. However you had to make it, you're not going to be able to film on water like you would today. And it's just funny where you're like, they're splashing each other. And then you've got the scene where Patrick Swayze is cheering Johnny on when he's surfing. And he's like, yeah. And then they pan out to something else, and they go back to the same thing. And it's like, all right, cheesy. Yeah, a lot of the same cuts. Shots, I mean, when you're looking at a movie in this aspect and you're trying to break it down and you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, cool, what I don't like, what I do like, these are some of the things that I can see they had to do for cinematic reasons. You're never going to be perfect. You can't expect perfection when you're throwing, you're doing this. But it was also something that was a very fun movie, and it's still a movie that I love. But then when I saw Big Wednesday, it's kind of like, okay, now I'm blown away. Like, Point Break is by far was one of my favorite movies. Gary Busey, Keanu Reeves as a pair. Lori Petty, this is my second favorite movie that she's done, as opposed to A League of Their Own. So,
is there any other movies she's done? I don't even know
Girl.
what else she's done besides those two. Tank Girl. Ugh, I never saw that.
I mean, it's like Pauly Shore in the Army now, watch that movie. Right? It's just the female version of that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, Lori Petty seemed like she was going to be a big star, and she just kind of fell off there. I don't know. It looked like she was really, rising with this, and then League of Their Own, and it's just maybe that. I don't know about that Tank Girl. I don't know. She just made some bad decisions or something, but you never really saw her again. The last time I saw her was she showed up.
Hang on a second. She showed up in a movie that we watched recently.
So,
yeah.
Did she? Wait.
Yeah, we did talk about
familiar.
this.
I think we talked about this too. I can't. I'm
Chasing 3000.
Which one was it? Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. I forgot about that. That's right. She did show up there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Good old no.
Good old Lori Petty. You never know where she's gonna find Lori Petty.
But it's just such a good movie that when I started breaking it down, I was kind of like, wait a second. So what was it? Oh, they're talking about the War Child's his van or his license plate. They call it in. I need to run these plates. And it's 2D or 2 David 4 Sam 9 or 5. I kind of chuckled. I said, "Did you just throw a 9er in there?"
Is there a 9er?
What's your favorite Jimi Hendrix song?
Oh, geez. Hey Joe.
Purple Haze. If 6
Purple
was
Haze.
9.
I like those ones.
That was a good one.
That was a good one too. All on one.
Can't go wrong with some Jimmy.
Can't go wrong with Jimmy. Right?
Was there anything about this movie after watching it this time that you... How'd you watch it? Did you rent it from the library, or were you able to watch it on streaming?
I watched it on streaming. It was actually the like the TV version, so all the cuss words were out, and didn't get to see the good blood, which was fine. I know what it looks like. I don't need to always see it, but I just saw it there. It's like I said, it's a really good movie. I feel like I've talked to you about this before, right? I mean, when they made Fast and the Furious, it's basically that. Fast and Furious is basically Point Break, but with cars instead of surfing. It's literally the same plot.
I saw it.
Have you seen Fast and Furious? You've seen that, right? The first one? Yeah, I saw that in the theaters, and I remember even thinking then, I'm like, isn't this Point Break with cars? Like, you got an undercover cop infiltrating a gang that doesn't look like they should be robbing, but they are. And then he gets too close, likes the girl who used to be with the guy, and now they're not. And then he gets with her, and he gets a little too close, and he ends up, somebody dies, and it's the same movie. It's great. I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining at all. But it's the same. It's Fast and the Furious is the same movie as Point Break. just with cars instead of surfing, literally. And you're not robbing banks. You're robbing. What did they rob? They were robbing trucks,
wouldn't it be
right?
Weird
what they were doing.
Wouldn't it be weird if they were if the first
movie.
person that died in Point Break's name was Jesse? Yeah,
that would be great.
I didn't mean to do it, Dom. I didn't mean to do it.
Yeah, same. Yeah, same movie. I always think that's funny. People, when I tell people that, they're like, oh, "You're right. That is the same movie." Like, yeah.
One of the things after Johnny got messed up, where he fell or whatever happened, he got bit by the dog, and Lori Petty's character is cleaning him up. It's like, Johnny, it's like you got something to tell me, but you can't, and then it's like you're doing this for a school project or something. And then later, I think she says, "Don't you have a soul? Like how? Like what am I supposed to do here? You're caught in between a rock and a hard place."
Yeah.
All right, cool. Either number one, I give up my cover and I get killed, or number two, I stick with my cover and I get killed. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, which one do you do? Yeah.
I think the last thing that I have on this is when Johnny goes to Australia, and that's actually Oregon. They filmed that in Oregon. They're talking about how fast the wind is, where it's 150 kilometers an hour. Do you know what that converts into in miles an hour? 93 mile an hour winds. Like, how are you even walking in 93 mile an hour winds? Come on, can we make that a little bit more? Yikes.
Yeah,
Life
that's too much.
Sure has a sixth sense of humor, Johnny.
I would like to know if him and Tyler ended up. He didn't really mention her.
That would have been nice.
I was curious.
That would have been nice to know.
I guess they didn't. Yeah. Did they end up together or not? No. I'm guessing no. I'm guessing no. His pursuit of Bodhi drove them apart. He's probably spent too much time away. I like to think that he spent too much time away, got too into it, and got like obsessed with trying to find Bodhi. That she was like,
the Johnny mnemonic hair.
Can't do this. Yeah, on his way back.
3 years
later, yeah.
We are moving on to Big Wednesday, and this one is another Gary Busey film. Not too many people that are mainstream media, mainstream actors, but this one was filmed this one released in 1979, filmed mostly in Malibu, which was great. I love this movie. Jeff, this was the first time that I saw it. I think we've been going back and forth about what movie to do second in this episode. And when we decided on Devil's Advocate, and I said, it's a really long movie. It's really good, but I don't think that it sticks with our theme. Definitely try to go with the theme aside from just going off the reels like we normally do. I think that Big Wednesday having that Gary Busey connection was huge, and then it's surfing, and they're surfing the point, and this is exactly what Point Break was based off of. You could tell that it's like there's these three guys, and they're like best friends, and what did you think about Big Wednesday, Jeff?
Yeah, I love this movie. I've seen it. I had seen it. I hadn't seen it in a while, but I think I rented it off of Netflix when they were still doing DVDs. That's how long ago I watched it. It's a really good movie. This is a really underrated. Not many people know about it. I had my old boss, my friend Joe. He recommended it to me years ago, and I had never even heard of it. I watched it, or maybe he gave me the movie. I can't remember, but anyway. I remember liking it then, hadn't seen it in a while, and just I watched it again and really liked it. It's a really good movie. It's you can tell that they're the acting is they're getting there. They're trying their hardest. The acting isn't the best, but it's a really good story. It's a really good coming of age story about these three guys who bonded over surfing and where their lives take them in different directions, from surfing to fatherhood to the Vietnam War and back, and broken over into like four different sections of the seasons basically. And it's just a really good coming of age story of aging surfers and what it looks like when you're a surfer and you get older, and the friendships that and bonds that you make growing up in high school. I mean, it could have been this. It could have been a skateboarding movie. It could have been a baseball movie. You know what I mean? Like it could have been anything, because I mean, at the heart of the story was the friendships that these three guys had, and the journey that each three of them kind of go on throughout their lives to get to the point where they are at the end of the movie. So really liked it. Really, really good movie. I think it's your first time seeing it.
I was really blown away by the surf scenes. I was really blown away. The acting was, 70s-esque, but the soundtrack, I mean, you go and look at the soundtrack, and I think I started writing stuff down. Do the locomotion. Mama said there'll be days like this. That's what I want. She's a rebel.
That was great.
Yeah.
It was the 60s, right?
It started in 62,
I think, is when the first...
And spanned 12 years, or 13 years to 74. Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow? Sherry Baby. Just, the amount of songs.
That's great. It reminded me of how Scorsese uses music a lot too. And this is, I think I mentioned this in... Did we do Back to the Future or something? I mentioned something like, I don't like when they make movies and they use...
It was League of Their Own.
I think it was League of Their Own. Oh, it was League of Their Own. Yeah, they used a modern song for a period piece. I hate
it had
that.
Billy Joel.
I hate that.
We talked about that. There was a Billy Joel song.
That's right. Yes, that's right. I hate that so much, but I love music in the movies, and I like using music of that time period. Especially when you're focusing on that time period, and using music that was popular at that time, because it puts you in, it transports you to that time, and you can think about it, even though I obviously wasn't alive in 62, but you get in that frame of mind of that's the music. You've heard these songs, and it brings images of that time, of what the guys look like and the girls look like and the cars, and it brings you back to that time. If you're hearing modern music during that time, during the movie, it gives me a weird feeling. I don't like it. So I really appreciate it. Like I said, Scorsese does that a lot, especially like watch Goodfellas and all the music he does. He's really big into that, and using particular music to move the movie along, and the effect it has, because it does have a big effect on movies and the way it plays with your emotions.
There are two movies that
really enjoyed it. Yeah,
I thought of when you talked about that, and number one is Forrest Gump, and the other one's The Outsiders.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. And
The Outsiders is such a good movie.
I haven't seen it so long.
The soundtrack kind of goes with it. It's not as Gloria by Van Morrison is in it, and it's one of those where it just flows. Every piece, to me, it flows, and you've got the highs and the lows. But Forrest Gump and Goodfellas, I mean, those soundtracks are two of the best soundtracks that I've ever heard.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Those are good examples. Hey, have you ever slept on the beach overnight? Because it seems to be happening in both of these movies.
I don't remember.
I don't think that's it. Is that a thing? I'm not from Southern California. I don't know if that's a thing or not. I didn't grow up here in my teenage years and my college years, so I don't know. Is that a thing? Sleeping on the beach overnight? Can you even do that? Is that allowed?
Was it? It was allowed. Yeah.
Was it allowed?
I mean, this movie, all it did, it brought back a lot of memories of my uncle. So one of my dad's brothers, he was really big into the surfing scene and surfed a lot at Manhattan and El Porto, and tried to teach me how to surf, but it never wound up coming to fruition. Never took. But yeah, I could not imagine sleeping on the beach and waking up like that. Definitely not something that I have done, aside from passing out on the beach, which, a normal day I'll fall asleep standing up.
I mean, you can't even have bonfires on the beach, for God's sake, except at Dock Twilight.
It has.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. So
I thought the Leroy the Masochist nickname was great, but the biggest thing, there were a couple things. The fights in all the fights they got into, they were to a T exactly what I expected out of a fight in a movie from the 70s. It's like Animal House.
Oh my God, dude!
It was like Animal House for surfing.
Yeah, that party. Oh my God, that party when they fall. That was the best. I was dying during this party scene, this house party. Yeah, let's see. They're buttering up Leroy. He jumps into the oven.
Where did the kids come from?
There's kids around. The mom's home. The mom is home. Then they start fighting. The dude cracks over, busts open his head, falling down the stairs. This big, huge guy comes out from banging a chick and just starts beating everybody up. What is happening?
They're calling Like, what is happening in this movie? No, it's okay. It's fine. It's nothing. Awesome.
It was so great. I love that scene. I was like, this scene just keeps getting crazier and crazier. This house party. It was great. I really liked the bear character. You know, I really liked, you know, you really, he was a secondary character, but you saw his path too. I mean, he started as he was making surfboards, and then you know, he's kind of on the pier kind of guy, kind of around the fringes, and then gets a shop. The next one, he gets a shop and he becomes really successful, and everybody's using his boards, and you just see him kind of slowly decline as, you know, an aging surfer. And, you know, he had a good quote, "Nobody surfs forever." And I think, you know, and his character really epitomized that quote that he said, you know, nobody surfs forever. And I think that's what, at the end, you know, I picture the very end scene where they go out and they do their one last one and then they walk off. I picture them as that, in my mind, that's the last time they surfed. Like, they were done after that because of that line, "Nobody surfs forever." And I feel like the three of them got to go out one last time. And at the end of the movie, you know, they're walking up their way. You know, they have the new entrance to the right. They have their old kind of messed up stairs and stone steps. They go up that way and kind of go off into the sunset. And I think, I like to think of it as that's they took their last ride together right there.
That was such a good scene. You know, you got all three of them coming out, and then you've got Lopez, the young buck, coming out, and, you know, it was just such a good scene. What did you think when Matt fell off his board?
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
I was kind of like, no, tuck and roll, yeah.
You're like, oh no,
don't kill the guy that I actually liked after, you know. Yeah,
I know, right? After Michael Vincent,
after he gets hammered. I really like the angles, the real surf, similar to Essential, The Endless Summer, or some surf videos that you may have seen.
Yep.
Jack, so Bear Surfboards is a fictional surfboard company.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like Jack's,
right?
And it looks like Tyler. But there's an article that I was reading about how one of the guys tried to pull Bear Surfboards and make it a company, and things went south. I'm gonna have to look back at that, but it didn't wind up working out. Somebody, you know, wound up becoming like a gangster and telling you couldn't, you know, cease and desist or I'll cut your balls off or something like that. Tyler Surfboards is El Porto, and Jack Surfboards is Huntington Beach. Let's see. Oh, the one thing that I know wouldn't fly these days is, you know, Sally says she's pregnant, and then she goes and starts smoking a cigarette and drinking a beer when they're in Mexico. So that was interesting.
That was cool. They went to Mexico. Yeah, that was great. Such a good movie.
Hey,
another road trip. Love the road trip part. You know.
And when Jack left for Vietnam, it was in the 60s. It was 65 because the Watts riots is what they were showing on the TV the last night of his time as a civilian before he went in the military.
Gotcha. Yeah. Did you notice the cameo? Did you see the actor that I saw?
No,
did you see Freddy Krueger?
I can't tell you that I watched any of those movies, but tell me more.
Yeah, Robert Englund. I've never seen those movies either, but I know the actor, and I know Freddy Krueger, and he was in the party? I think he was in the party scene. He was just like leaving or something. He walked out. I don't think he even had a line. He might have said goodbye, but I was like, wait, is that Freddy Krueger right there? Robert Englund. Yeah, I watched the credits. Like, sure enough, that was him. I don't know if that was his first role or not, but yeah, he was in it just briefly. It looked just like, if you pause it, you'd be, oh yeah, that's definitely him. It looks just, it looks like Freddy Krueger, but without the makeup. It's kind of crazy. I also liked in that party scene too. I love that scene, by the way. But I mean, they were using yellow solo cups, which I thought was interesting. That was they used back then in the 60s, 70s. Was it red or yellow? And now we've switched to red. Did they not have red back then? I had so many questions about that. Maybe I'll look that up for next time. Like, when did red become the thing? Because they were all yellow. Maybe that goes more with the greens 70s. Everything was like greens and yellows back then. So maybe that was it. Yeah. My wife also wanted me to mention that we actually saw Gary Busey
of all places
in Malibu. I don't remember what of all places, right? We were actually camping at Leo Carrillo, and so not very far. And I think we're like, let's go and just get a meal. We didn't really feel like cooking. We were like, we like to do that one time. We don't go like deep woods camping. We do beach camping. So we're usually by a town. So one day we usually go out to dinner, and we went to one of them in Malibu and look over like, oh, there he is right there. Look at his kind of crazy as he ever. His hair was just all over the place. His eyes where he was telling a story with two other people there, and you can see it was like, that's clearly Gary Busey. My wife didn't really know. She's like, that's somebody, isn't it? I look back like, oh yeah, that's Gary Busey, babe. So it's kind of cool. He looked over us, kind of gave a little nod, little head note, because we were staring like, hey, looking at him, and he gave a little hi, and like, okay, we can stop oogling at him now, but. That was kind of cool to see old Gary Busey there out in Malibu.
So
and
a couple
his
things
home turf.
about this movie that I'm reading on wavelengthmag.com. Jen Michael Vincent and William Katt had been surfing since childhood. The director brought in an all-star cast of surfing talent to serve as stunt doubles, including Peter Townsend, and then there's Billy Hamilton, Jackie Dunn, and then Gary Busey had to learn to surf for the role, and after just a few months ended up joining his co-stars out in the lineup for a 12-foot sunset for the final scene. So he did surf that last scene. And that, you're talking about it in Point Break where, Lori Petty's telling them to pop. And it's like, these guys are getting on their knees and then they're finding the way up. So this was something that when you start describing it, where it's like, don't listen to them in the movies. You're watching these guys paddle out on their knees and then bring one leg up and then balance themselves with the other leg. And you're able to bounce yourself on the board so much better.
Yeah.
And with how they're walking on a surfboard, that kind of balance is insane.
I like the what do you call it, the longboard surfing. I think that's cool how you can have a longboard and you kind of walk on it, and I just think that's really neat. You can do. I feel like it's cool to see the shredding on the small boards and cutting up things. But I don't know. For my money, it's all about the long boards, man. You can just walk up and down, and I don't know. I think that looks really cool. For me at least, I never tried the longboard. I just think if I were to longboard, that's where I'd be at. Because if I skateboard now, it's like the long skateboard, it's not the small one. So I guess I'm all about the just cruising, man. We're just
going with it,
chilling. We're just going with the flow. Just gonna do a little walk up and down the board. That's my speed.
If I did,
even though I don't surf, but if I did, that's what I would.
If you had to recommend one of these movies, what would be one of the things that you would say about Big Wednesday, and one of the things you would say about Point Break to somebody that's never seen them? Putting you on the spot.
Oh, geez. I think Big Wednesday, I would tell people, like, if you want to see, a movie about kind of surf culture, kind of the beginnings of Southern California surf culture, where it kind of started and where it went, I think that'd be the best way to sell Big Wednesday. If you're into the surf culture and you want to see Southern California, kind of where it began, I don't know if it began, but really started to I think grab hold of Southern California. I think that's a good play. That's a good way to post Big Wednesday. I guess for Point Break, if you want to see dudes being dudes and saying brah and skydiving and extreme sports, and go watch Point Break. Which is funny because that's such a bro movie, but it was directed by Catherine Bigelow, a woman, a really good director who won. I think she won Best Director for Hurt Locker or 0 Point, or maybe she won it twice. 0 Point. Zero Dark 30. She went for that one, The Hunt for Osama bin Laden. Really good director. I think this is one of her first movies. She turned into a really, really good director. It was
really well done.
Really liked
they were
her
both
stuff.
Really well done. I was very impressed by Big Wednesday, and it was one of those where I didn't want to stop watching it because I was just so.
Yeah, it's not something you hear about. Like, nobody talks about it. Nobody ever says, "Oh, hey, Big Wednesday, you should watch this." Like, nobody. I've never heard anybody besides my buddy Joe mention it. I've never heard one person ever say anything about this movie. I'm glad he turned me on to it, and I'm glad we were able to do it this time. And it's good to see people watch it for the first time. I'm glad I got to watch it again because it's been so long.
Anything else?
Let's see. No, that's about everything I got.
That is a wrap.
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger. Yellow Submarines.
Yellow Solo Cups.
That is a wrap for this episode of Going Off the Reels. Thank you for joining us.
All right.